A question that I'm often asked is, how much does Google Ads cost? And my answer is, Google Ads done correctly, it doesn't cost you anything. It should make you money every single time. And, he who can afford to acquire a customer at the highest price is going to win in Google Ads. So there really is no cost to Google Ads. The correct question should be, how much can I afford to pay to acquire a customer? And then how many customers do I want to get in a month? So I'm going to show you a calculator that I use here on my screen, and I'll show you exactly how it works. And I'm going to show you actually worst case examples, super, super high averages that still make businesses money all the time. Step number one is really understanding the numbers. The biggest rookie mistake I see in Google Ads is somebody not doing all the math ahead of time and really calculating the numbers to determine how much can I pay to acquire a customer. Once you have that number, Google Ads is easy. Now what you do is you put the pieces into play so that you can now start systemizing it. If you can make, for example, a $1 investment and you can make $3 out of that dollar, how often do you want to repeat that? It's like a piggy bank. You can literally scale your business. And that's how we do when we work with multi-location franchises that start off with one location and they grow to 500 locations over several years. It is Google Ads is the main driver. We take one model that is profitable, and then we just continue repeating that same model over and over and over again. And it really works. So here's step number one. Is what you need to do is ask yourself, hey, what is my average customer lifetime value? You have to start in that, and you have to be 100% clear. You're going into an auction, and you need to understand that that lifetime value obviously is everything. Then the second question you have to ask yourself is, how much can I afford to be able to spend to acquire a new customer? So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say, for example, that you have a average lifetime value, say of a customer, say you make $600 up front, but this customer, every customer gives you, say, for example, will lead to, say, every 10 customers will lead to 3 new customers, say, for example, based on referrals. And then maybe they come back and buy more from you. So say maybe the first sale is $100, but say the average customer is worth $1,100, right? So what you need to do is ask yourself, how much can I, afford to acquire a customer? So now what you want to do is say, what's my revenue target? How many new customers, do I want? So let's say it's $1,100, of revenue that I want to be able to generate through this. And now when I say lifetime value, I'm not talking over the next 30 years. Say how much revenue you're going to make in your first year, for a typical customer. And so say that I want to be able to have 50 customers that are coming in the door, right? So that would be, I'm not going to try to do the math. I'm just going to go here and say 50 times and $1,100, right? So what I want to make $55,000. So I want to make 50 customers. So what I'll do then is I will go to lead to customer conversion. Really want to understand is when the phone rings, how many times, how many new leads, what's our closing ratio? So let's say, for example, we use 25%, right? So to get 50 customers, we're going to have 200 leads come in the door. You need to know your numbers. If you're doing Google Ads, so important, right? And so the higher of a closing ratio that you have, if you've got a great team that closes sales, you're going to do that much better. And so 200 there. Now, what we want to do is go back to your landing page, right? And what the opt-in rate is there. And so let's say we take an average of 5%. We have some as high as 50%. It's knowing your numbers for your industry. And if you're wondering what your averages are for your industry, shoot me a message and I'll be glad to do some research for you, and I can tell you for your industry what the averages are. But let's say that we have a 5%, so we need to have about 4,000 clicks to the landing page. Now, knowing that, what we do is we have to go in and do some research, right? Google will tell you, if you go to Google and you go to the keyword research tool, you can go in there and you can find out what the average, cost per click is. And once you know what that average cost per click is, you can go ahead and you can enter that in here. So let's say, for example, that the average cost per click is $10, right? And that your ad click-through rate is about 10%. Again, it's all going to vary by industry. It could be 3%, it could be 50%. 50%. But let's say if you did that, right, we would want 40,000 impressions in there. So what we'd want to do is we would want to have a ad spend budget of $57,000, and the cost per lead is going to be $286, per lead. Now we're spending $57,000, to generate $55,000. We're not going to be profitable. So what we want to do is we want to really start working the math backwards, right? So here, for example, what we do is we go in and look at the type of keywords that we go after, and maybe we go after less competitive keywords. And let's say that we go for keywords where we can get about a $6.50. And let's say that we can really push this and try to do well, and we get about a 13%, click-through rate. And let's say that we can get a little bit of a better closing and close about 30% there. Now look at the numbers. You're spending $30,000 to acquire $55,000 in revenue. If we look at it at the granular level of just a single conversion, then what you're doing is you are spending $600 to generate $1,100 in revenue. Now, here's what you have to ask yourself. Can I be profitable spending $600 to generate an $1,100 revenue? And what you do is you need to understand where that's at. And for you, it may be profitable to not exceed, say, for example, $450. Or for you, it may be at $800. What you'll normally find, though, is this is the big driver right here. And that is the estimate cost per click, because you're competing in the auction against your own industry and your peers, and they're bidding for that. And they usually have the same profitability level as you do. And so they are bidding to that level, and you'll normally find that the CPCs here will match that. But you have to be able to have really high value, be able to generate as much revenue as you possibly can, and have a really good sales model so that you are able to generate the revenue and be able to offset the cost. Look, Google Ads is about one thing. He who can afford to acquire the customers at the highest price is going to win, because what they can do is they can just scale that over and over and over and over again. Now let's say, for example, you need to have it at below $500, right? So what we want to do is we want to try to go after CPCs that are below $5. See how now your average spend is about $476 for a new customer. And if that's your threshold, that's the goal, to try to now be able to see if you can get under $500 of a impression. And so these are the goals that we start to go after, and we can guide the Google Ads as long as the clicks are within this range here. And once it's done, then you can literally say, hey, I want 20 customers a month, I want 50, I want 100 customers a month, because it's costing you $476 to make $1,100. That is how you go after profitability with Google Ads. And so next time somebody asks you, how much does Google AdWords cost, right? The answer is really simple. It's not how much it costs, it's how much can I afford to be able to spend to acquire a customer. And then it's how many customers do I want? And Google Ads doesn't cost you money. It is a revenue source for your business. It is an investment. And when you scale your campaign like that, oh my gosh, the sky is the limit. That's what I love about Google Ads, because typically there's unlimited searches. And it's how well you position and you structure your ads campaign so that you can take advantage of that business. I hope that this video has been helpful for you in being able to understand Google Ads and Google Ads management and profitability. And if you have any questions, type them in the chat box below. I like to answer my questions directly. I love to be able to engage with you, and like it if you found it to be of value. And there should be a subscribe button right up on top here. If you'd like to be alerted to any new videos that are coming out, hit that button and we'll keep you posted. Until next time.